no one else does.
Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Ann.
I'm glad to see you again today for our fifth uh, episode and about mission control, a big feelings adventure. Um, I wanted to make sure that the listeners know that we have one more episode to do, and that'll be actually on the 17th, and that'll be the time where we talk about Joseph. And it'll also be a question and answer time where we can also share a little bit more about our work together and what each of us is doing individually with our careers as author and illustrator. So that'll be the 17th. I think it's going to be at 10 o'clock instead of 10:15. So I'm
Oh,
looking
good.
forward to that as well.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to remind reader or listeners that there's a website that we've worked on together called thebadgesofpower.com, which is one, it's all about Joseph and Gretchen in this book and in the future books that we will be writing still. But also, if you go to a hop, skip, and a jump ahead.com/books, you'll see additional information about the book that we're talking about and lots of free gifts that people can sign up for, and also lots of other little activities for kids, but lots of resources for parents and kids on the website. And then also on the website is information about other books that will be coming out soon, but not ready, not on Amazon yet, but they're getting illustrated and ready right now. So I just want to let people know about that. And also, since last week we talked about mom, there is information there called Parent Power Packs on the website where parents can learn a little bit more still about what the story is all about and how parents can, and teachers and other people reading the stories can learn more about how to use the book with their child to help build skills. So today our goal is to talk about Gretchen. And just to give a little background information about Gretchen, Gretchen is my niece's dog. She lives in Alaska. She's quite an adventurer. She has two brothers who are 5 times bigger than she is, and they do lots of snow adventures. And if you readers can go, listeners can go to the Instagram account and find her and see some of her adventures. And also, I wanted to share a little bit more about Gretchen. And maybe Joe, you want to kick in too, because we did model the Gretchen in the story about after the real Gretchen, and
Right.
kids find that to be quite interesting. Like, oh, you, they just it's a concept that's new to them, but your process of developing the picture of Gretchen in the story is really cute. And I was going to share something real quick. I had this made for kids to be able to hold while I read the story to them. And so it's fun to have those as a little prop. But maybe you could tell us more. Like, we've got Gretchen here as a stuffed animal that in Joseph's imagination, but then also Gretchen as she is when she's participating in Joseph's imagination.
That's right. So I just texted you some drawings. So maybe we can bring those up. But
Yeah.
those are kind of interesting. Like my very first, after seeing a picture of Gretchen, and because we decided that she was a teacup wolf.
Right. That's what my niece calls her.
So if you go back down, man, right, that one. So that little sketch right there. Can we open that up?
Trying here. You know what? Can we share your screen maybe?
It's on my iPad. Let's see. Yeah, maybe we can share my screen. So let's see. Let me bring this one up. And then, okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, can everyone see that?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so based on our story and then based on the picture of Gretchen, um, I just started just coming up with some ideas of what what was going to look like with Gretchen in the story. So, we went with that teacup wolf, so that's what I labeled it. And this is kind of where the backpack kind of came into play because Gretchen always went on adventures with your niece, right?
Right.
And um, so we decided it's like, okay, well, she's kind of like this little, it doesn't matter how big I am, I'm gonna, keep up. And she's got a big heart and, is tough. And so that's when we came up with the teacup wolves. And so I just started just putting like little, just little ideas. We never showed Gretchen eating, but I thought, oh, wolf chow, um, some spikes for her paws. I don't know where I came up with that. It's like it's just something like because she since she lives up in Alaska, thought, oh, what if she went like ice climbing or was on a glacier or something? It's like, well, if she's got little pads on, it'd be kind of cool if like, well, if an adult or her your niece had spikes on, well, how is she going to get? Well, maybe they make little spikes for her paws. So I was just kind of just going everywhere with
Yeah.
ideas. Um, and so this whole idea of the backpack and then Joseph's imagination, and then it's like, well, what is Gretchen going to turn into? So that's where the whole idea of like, well, Gretchen is going to match in uniform with Joseph. And so I had a picture here of Gretchen that I kind of modified. And so it's like, what if she looks like this? So she's got this little suit on, and I just kind of painted and colored over it. So that's the real Gretchen. And it was just like a little mock-up. So that's her real suit that she has on, and I just colored it red. And just to get kind of an idea of what that was going to look like. So um so I started thinking about, the drawing that I sent last week where it looked more Gretchen looked more realistic, I want to say, and more to what I thought, okay, she's a tough little dog. And it didn't have that huggy feely kind of feel to it. So I thought, I'm going to soften her up a little bit and make her more cartoony and more expressive with the eyes. And so that's when I came up with, share my screen. That's when I came up with this one. So this was like the first real cartoony version that I did of Gretchen. And again, so the backpack idea is there, small, just made her just a little, maybe a little chubbier. And so then what happens is in the story, so when she goes into Joseph's imaginary, so she's a stuffed animal in real life, and then in Joseph's imagination, then she becomes this what was it, a representation of mom
Right.
and a voice of reason for Joseph, and she talks. And so then her backpack turned into the rocket pack. And this was an early one of the early sketches I did. I really liked this, the way that I drew. It was like sometimes you get these like little happy accidents and you just draw something really quick and it just comes out looking really good. And I really like
Yeah. Yeah.
Gretchen here, where she's like just tapping her her badge, which is supposed to start her rocket pack. And so this is what I call like storyboarding.
Something happened, Joe. We can't hear you now. Uh-oh. So I don't know. Well, I'll just pick up, and then if you can figure out what happened, Joe, or maybe sign out and come back in again, I'll carry on from here until we get back your video. So Joe was talking about the role that Gretchen plays in the story. So yes, and his real life, I think of Gretchen sort of as his support dog, because he really does use her a lot to help him get through difficult situations. And so let's see, I'll share my screen with the story now. So here we are with the cover of the book. And then Spaceman Sam, we've talked about him another week and how he helps Joseph with doing hard things. And he teaches the kids, the people reading the story, but also in the story, Joseph, what to do with his big feelings and how he can get help for it and be able to return to a state of calm where he can actually then begin to think about how to solve the problem. So he's watching that with Gretchen, and you can see here, like, Gretchen is always with him. And again, it's representative of his mom is always there for him. And so again, he's having a great time. I love the little picture of Gretchen on the wall, and then the picture next to the stuff, one picture of Gretchen is a picture another child drew of Gretchen early on in soon after the book was, as the book was actually being finalized. And then this is again where you can see Gretchen's everywhere. Wherever Joseph is, Gretchen's there too. And so his mom comes in and says it's time to go to bed, which is not what Joseph wants to hear. And so he has this big reaction to that. And his mom helps calm him. We talked about all of this last week. And then his mom helps him get to that state where he can start thinking about, what could I do about my big feelings? And then again, with the help of Gretchen, he knows that he can count on her. He launches into his imagination. So here they are in their spacesuits, and they're off on their adventure. And again, he takes his mom with him on his screen, on his monitor, because she's important to him. He knows that she's a support. And then in his imagination, actually, it's Gretchen that he's taking along with him. So Gretchen is really going to imitate the same thing that she sees Joseph doing. So Joseph has this power kick, and then Gretchen assumes the same thing. And the facial expression on Joseph's face, she's imitating also. So you'll see that Joe has been able to do that in other pages in the story as well. So now he's ready to activate his imagination and work through the challenge of, I don't like what's happening. I don't really want to have to turn off the TV. I just want to keep doing what I want to do. And now Joseph has to figure out how to solve that problem.
1, 2.
Yeah, you're back on, Joe.
Okay.
So here's where the Hypnotron pops out the hypno cables and captures Robojo. And in other sessions, we've talked about how Robojo and Joseph, they're one and the same. It's kind of like Joseph's avatar. And so whatever Robojo feels, Joseph feels too. But here we've got Gretchen in control. She's not affected by everything that's going on with Joseph. She's staying cool, but she sees, oh gosh, it looks like Joseph's gonna really need some help because of his big feelings. And so the degree of upset by Joseph increases, and here comes the Hypnotron to make it even harder for him to resist the desire to just keep watching TV and be upset because his mom is asking him to do something he doesn't like. So now Gretchen really kicks in with her role as support dog, and she recognizes that he can't really do this on his own in the moment. It's really overwhelming to him. And this is true of so many of the families that I'm working with, and that is that they need to they see that their child needs support. It can be hard sometimes to be in a calm state as the parent. It can be hard as the parent to know what to say. I tried to model for the reader, this is how you can support your child. And these are some tools that you could offer to your child that could help when these big feelings are happening. And so the idea here is that he's feeling it in his body, which is one of the things that Spaceman Sam talks about. And Gretchen's there to see and to hear about it and to help him know, like, I see what it's like for you. I hear your big upset. I understand, and I'm here to help you. And so she just stays calm and helps him realize, I could do something about these big feelings to try to get back into control so I can figure out what to do to solve the problem. So she offers him some ideas that are right here. And we'll talk more about that next week when we talk about Joseph. So she realizes once Joseph gets a little bit more in control and can start thinking and not just feeling about the situation, he says, okay, let's do something about this. But even still, Gretchen realizes he's still not in control enough. I still need to support him. And so I'm going to set him up for success. So she taps her little badge, like Joe was talking about earlier, and that gives her the power to start up her jetpack. So when kids are working with me, I give them a little necklace or a little something that they can hang on their backpack. And it has a picture of Gretchen tapping like that. And I tell them, like, you can tap too on Gretchen, and it'll help you remember that you can do hard things too. So here's Gretchen out to save the day. So she's wise because she represents mom, and she sees what the big picture is, and she sees what she needs to do to be able to help Joseph. So she's on a mission. She knows what she has to do to help him. She knows that he doesn't have the ability right now in the moment to just say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to stop being upset about it. I'm just going to go to bed. So she swoops in here and she goes to the willpower switch and helps him by turning it on. So she's giving just moral support. She's just helping him be able to move in the direction of, okay, what can I do to solve this problem? So when Gretchen is able to do that for him, now he can begin to resist the hypnotron, because the shield comes down, and he can start gaining some freedom from these big feelings, because the laser beam will zap the hypno cables. So now he's starting to feel like, oh, I'm not captive to my big feelings. I actually have some control over what I'm feeling. But again, he needs Gretchen to help him get there. So in the end, they're successful, and Joseph, otherwise known as Robojo here in the picture, is able to defeat those big feelings, that desire to keep watching TV when he would really rather do something different. And then comes Joseph calls her back in to the spaceship. They say goodbye, and here is her happy reunion. And this is, again, like, parents are there beside their kids to help them with those big feelings, to help celebrate and say, you did something really hard. And also, we did it together. And I think that's an important component for parents to understand, is that kids do need their parents to help them through these difficult situations. And then it is something to say, we did something together. We were successful. Hard things we can do, and it can be easier when you've got some support. So now Joseph is back to his real life, and his mom is reviewing with him all the process that he went through, from the big feelings and all the way through to, I'm ready to solve it in real life. So she gave him the boost he needed. Otherwise, it's actually Gretchen in his imagination who gives him the boost he needs to be able to say, okay, I'm pulling it together. I'm going to be able to master this. I'm going to be able to get through this, and it'll be okay. So indeed, with Gretchen by his side, he's remembering himself on the spaceship and how he was able to turn off the monitor and close down his imagination. And it's easy for him to think now, oh, I could do it in my imagination. I can do it now in real life too. And then he's taking Gretchen with him to bed because Gretchen goes everywhere with him, just like his mom. And then his mom is helping him through his big feelings, helping him remember, oh, remember at first you were feeling like you were really angry. And then little by little, you started to calm down a little bit and start thinking about what could you do to solve the problem? Because the expectation is that you're going to bed, even though you don't like the idea. How are you going to handle that situation? And so he's remembering, I did do the hard thing, and I really liked how it felt. And he again is partnering with Gretchen. He knows that he needs her support. He recognizes that she did help him with those challenges. And so now it's bedtime, and she's just reviewing with him again, like, you did something really hard. That helped your brain grow when you did that hard thing. And Gretchen was by your side. And again, here she is in bed with him, and you can see she's just a stuffed animal. But to him, she's more than that to him. She really is a support dog for him. And we see kids carrying around their stuffies. We know how, or their blankets. It is a comfort to them. And in some ways, it does help kids get through difficult moments. We see that all the time with kids. And so that's what Gretchen is portraying in the story. And we can see, like, he's got all his things that are part of the story in his room, and we see how active his imagination is and how important all these toys are that he has in his daily life, and how they can help him with his big feelings when things are challenging for him. And he's in his bed in this moment, imagining himself being able to do this again the next time, knowing that he was able to accomplish something really hard with Gretchen's help. He's gaining confidence that he can do this more and more frequently because he's had one success, and he can build on that success, and everything else in the future will be just a little bit easier for him. So he's learning he doesn't have to avoid situations. He can handle things that are hard for him, and he can get better at it all the time. So, Joe, did you want to add more maybe about the jetpack, or more about his body language, like how they imitate each other in the story, or any other things that you wanted to say but got cut off about?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered everything, but I just wanted to show, if you go back to when Joseph and Gretchen are talking, and right, yeah, even more where he's all tied up and he's like
Oh,
saying
okay.
breathe
Uh-huh. That
right
one.
there. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of show that the what the storyboard looked like and what the finished product was. So for the sake of space and the progression of the story, we wanted to show like a close up of the gauntlet here. And I was trying to figure out how to use that first drawing of Gretchen that I liked a lot. And it just didn't work with, I didn't want to include another page. And it's like, how do I consolidate that drawing and or the essence of it, and then still show the gauntlet and all that kind of stuff? So we're just, I'm always fighting for space. It's like, how I didn't want it to be too overpowering, and there's like too much information. There's a lot on here to look at, and adding Gretchen, like a front view of Gretchen just tapping her badge to get the jetpack going, wasn't going to work. So that's why I kind of consolidated the two drawings. And I think in the drawing that I had, let's see, can I can share, right, Nan?
Yeah, you were before, so hopefully you can now.
Okay. Um, let's see. And this one. So you can see where I still have this in the middle here. And so I was able to consolidate the tap tap with Gretchen looking at the jetpack that is working. And instead of her flying out of the little escape hatch here, the doggy door, I incorporated that into the page after where it just kind of shows her zipping out of the rocket, like a kind of a wide shot. So, that's kind of the fun of putting these books together and the drawings. It's like, okay, get all what I call kind of like a brain dump. It's just get everything out there and let's see what works. And this is how I wanted to show, Gretchen here too on the right, where she has this look of determination, and it's like, okay, I'm ready to go and do this. Well, it wasn't going to work. There's just, again, too much. We really wanted to show the gauntlet, really wanted to show the conversation that Gretchen and Joseph are having, as far as like, I don't feel good, you got to breathe. And so we kind of elaborated on that. It's like, okay, well, let's just show the gauntlet here. And in a graphical, or in a visual way, show what the options that Joseph had, and Gretchen working that out in her conversation with Joseph. So there you go.
Great. Yeah, I love that. It's always fun to hear more about your thought process and with your drawing, Joe. And one other thing that I forgot to mention when I was sharing about the story is notice that we didn't have Gretchen solving the problem for Joseph, because Joseph can do it himself. And a lot of times what I'm trying to help parents also understand in therapy sessions is that the hard part is the support part. That's the part the kids need the parents there for. They don't know what to do. They do need a parent who is able to understand and be patient and take the time to be present with the child. And that's the biggest role the parents have. The part about Spaceman Sam's last step of solve it, that really becomes a non-issue for kids when there's a problem to be worked out. They know what to do. And I don't usually have answers or suggestions of ways to solve problems that kids like. And even the parents generally don't have ideas either. They come up with their own, and those are the ones that they own. And those are the ones that they feel like, I can do this. I might tweak their answer just a bit to make it more clear for them or something. But generally, I do ask them to figure out what they're going to do to solve the problem. And whether it's with a social interaction with another kid where they are not liking what the other kid is doing, and we talk about, well, I see what's important to you. I see what's important to you. I wonder what you will do to solve the problem. So I leave it up to them. Again, most of the time they can solve it themselves and don't need my help. So it just was something that wouldn't necessarily be obvious without pointing it out, like I'm doing right now, that is something that we specifically did not have Joseph having this problem solved by his mom or Gretchen. He's capable. And that's what builds kids' self-confidence, that I can solve problems. I know what to do. They just need experience with knowing how to do these things. And they need the guidance and the support when they're in that emotional state, because they can't solve problems when they're in that emotional state. They can only solve problems after they've been heard and seen and soothed and understood by a parent, an adult, because then they can move on and move into the part of the brain that thinks about how to solve problems. So that's why Gretchen is just there to help him try to calm, help him think about being in a state where he actually can start thinking, what can I do to move forward? But Gretchen still is supporting him, because he's on wobbly feet trying to figure out what to do next. So his mom helps him sort through his big feelings. Gretchen helps him sort through his big feelings in his imagination. And that's a critical role that parents can play. Anything else you wanted to share, Joe?
No, that's it.
Okay, good, good. Well, it was fun to meet up again. We'll convene again on the 17th.
Yep, that'll be fun.
Good, thank you.
All right. Thank you.